Alan Ladd was never the kind of man who thrived on confrontation or ego, yet one professional relationship left a deeper mark on him than any other. Known for his reserved nature, soft-spoken demeanor, and intense inward focus, Ladd carried himself with professionalism even at the height of Hollywood fame. Born Alan Walbridge Ladd on September 3, 1913, in Hot Springs, Arkansas, his life was shaped early by loss and hardship. His father died when Alan was just 4 years old, leaving his mother, Ray, to move the family repeatedly in search of stability. Poverty, poor health, and childhood malnutrition affected him deeply, contributing to his short stature and lifelong insecurities. Yet these same struggles forged a quiet determination. Rather than compensating with bravado, Ladd developed an inner strength built on discipline and restraint. In an industry dominated by loud personalities, he stood apart, communicating emotion through stillness and subtlety rather than force, finding a place in Hollywood. Ladd's early years in California were marked by persistence rather than privilege. He attended North Hollywood High School, where he explored drama while also excelling in swimming and diving, sports that gave him confidence and physical control. After graduating in 1934, he entered Hollywood not as a star, but as a worker behind the scenes, taking jobs as a grip, extra, and radio announcer. For years, rejection was constant, and roles were small, often uncredited. Taller, more imposing actors were favored, and Ladd was frequently overlooked. Still, he absorbed everything, learning the mechanics of filmmaking and refining his craft quietly. His turning point came when talent agent Sue Carroll recognized his potential. She saw that his calm presence and emotional restraint were strengths, not weaknesses. With her guidance and belief, Ladd finally received the opportunity that would redefine his life and reshape American cinema. Stardom through subtle power. In 1942, Alan Ladd burst onto the screen in This Gun for Hire, delivering a performance that changed the language of screen masculinity. As the haunted hitman Raven, he was chilling yet deeply human, conveying pain through silence and stillness. Audiences were captivated by his piercing eyes, controlled movements, and understated intensity. Almost overnight, Ladd became a star and a defining figure of film noir. Throughout the 1940s, films like The Glass Key, The Blue Dahlia, and Calcutta solidified his image as the morally conflicted anti-hero. He often portrayed men trapped between conscience and survival, roles that mirrored his own internal struggles. His frequent pairing with Veronica Lake became iconic, their chemistry built on restraint rather than theatrics. Ladd's success was not fueled by volume or dominance, but by emotional precision, making him one of Paramount Pictures' most reliable stars during Hollywood's golden era. Shane and a difficult collaboration. Ladd's most enduring role came in 1953 with Shane, a Western that elevated the genre into something more reflective and human. As the quiet gunfighter seeking peace, Ladd delivered a performance of remarkable restraint, allowing silence to speak louder than words. However, the film also brought him into close professional contact with Jack Palance, who played the menacing villain Jack Wilson. Their on-screen tension was electric, but behind the scenes, the contrast in personalities created discomfort. Palance was physically imposing, intense, and method-driven, while Ladd was meticulous, private, and sensitive to physical staging due to long-standing insecurities about his height. Reports from the set suggest that Ladd felt unsettled by Palance's off-camera intensity, interpreting it as disrespectful rather than collaborative. Though never public or explosive, the strain lingered. For a man who avoided conflict, the experience left a rare and lasting impression of personal unease, success shadowed by change. Despite the triumph of Shane, Hollywood was changing. By the late 1950s, tastes shifted toward louder, more physically dominant stars, and Ladd found fewer roles that matched his earlier successes. He continued working steadily, even moving into production with films like Drumbeat and Hell on Frisco Bay. But critical and commercial responses were mixed. Behind the scenes, He battled chronic health issues, insomnia, and periods of deep emotional exhaustion. Ladd was not a man who shared his struggles openly, and his quiet withdrawal was often mistaken for aloofness. Still, he remained dedicated to his craft, approaching each role with the same care that had defined his career from the beginning. Even as opportunities narrowed, he refused to abandon the discipline and professionalism that had carried him from obscurity to stardom, choosing persistence over bitterness in an industry that had grown less patient with subtlety. Love, family, and stability. Ladd's personal life reflected both vulnerability and devotion. His first marriage, to childhood sweetheart Marjorie Jane Midge Harold, coincided with his struggling years. Though supportive, the marriage could not survive the pressures of a rising career, ending in divorce in 1941. Their son, Alan Ladd Jr., would later become one of Hollywood's most influential producers, helping bring Star Wars to the screen. Ladd's second marriage, to Sue Carroll, was both personal and professional. Carroll became his manager, protector, and anchor, guiding his career with sharp insight and fierce loyalty. Together they raised a blended family, including daughters Alana and Carol Lee and son David. Home life became Ladd's refuge, a space where he could escape Hollywood's demands. Despite internal struggles, he was known as a caring father and a devoted husband, finding stability in family when the industry grew unpredictable. Final years and quiet decline. By the early 1960s, the cumulative toll of health problems, emotional strain, and chronic insomnia weighed heavily on Ladd. Seeking rest, he retreated to his Palm Springs home in early 1964 after injuring both knees. The desert offered peace and distance from Hollywood's pressures, but his body remained fragile. On January 29, 1964, Alan Ladd was found unresponsive in his bed. Authorities determined his death to be accidental, the result of a dangerous interaction between prescribed medications and alcohol. There was no evidence of intent, only a tragic miscalculation by a man attempting to find rest. The news shocked fans and colleagues alike, ending the life of a star who had defined restraint and dignity. His passing highlighted a broader issue of the era, when reliance on sleep aids and sedatives was common and poorly understood within the entertainment industry. Farewell and enduring impact. Alan Ladd's funeral reflected the respect he had earned through talent and character rather than spectacle. Friends, family, and industry peers gathered to honor a man remembered for generosity, professionalism, and quiet grace. He was laid to rest with deeply personal items, symbols of love and family that mattered more to him than fame. Despite his struggles, Ladd left behind a substantial legacy, both artistic and personal. He owned property that reflected his love for privacy and stability, and his final film, The Carpetbaggers, released shortly after his death, served as a poignant reminder of his enduring screen presence. Though his life ended too soon, his influence lived on through his children and through the cinematic archetype he helped define, the quiet hero whose strength lay not in dominance, but in restraint. Legacy of subtle strength. Alan Ladd's legacy endures because he represented something rare in Hollywood: power without aggression, masculinity without noise. He reshaped the image of the American hero, proving that silence could be as compelling as spectacle. His performances continue to resonate because they reflect emotional truth rather than exaggeration. Though he faced insecurities, health struggles, and moments of professional conflict, he carried himself with dignity to the end. Even the difficult collaboration that once unsettled him became part of cinematic history, contributing to one of the greatest westerns ever made. Ladd's life reminds us that not all legends are forged through force. Some are shaped quietly, through persistence, vulnerability, and an unwavering commitment to craft. In remembering Alan Ladd, we honor a man whose stillness spoke volumes and whose legacy remains etched in the heart of American film.